Hey everyone, I hope that you guys are good today. So we are now going to be analyzing Nasdaq100, and we're going to start off on the monthly chart as we usually do. So let's get straight into the actual analysis. So as you can see, we have this candlestick over here, which is the current month's candlestick, and we can see that it seems to be forming a rejection candlestick, or a pin bar as some of you call it. Nonetheless, the candle hasn't closed as yet, but we will see how things unfold over the next coming days, as we're very much close to month end. Anyway, we can see that the candlestick rejected at around this level over here, and there's a chance that price may continue down to this level, and that is because at this level we have a very strong level of support, and it'll be clearer as we head down to the smaller time frames. So from here I'm just going to head down to the weekly chart. So here we are on the weekly chart, and on the weekly chart we can see that we have this nice W structure over here, which has a neckline at this point over here, right? And we spoke about this in previous videos, and we had said that the anticipation was for price to come back to the neckline to test it, and possibly we might see a reversal to complete this very nice W structure at this level over here, right? And I think previously we had said that this level more or less aligns with the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement level. But yeah, let's just actually add that 2 and see if the neckline actually aligns with that level indeed. So just bear with me while I add that 2. In fact, the first thing I'm going to do is actually add the neckline of that W structure. So just bear with me. So there goes the neckline. Price actually closed just below that neckline, but as you guys know, necklines are not lines, they are areas. So we can say that this entire area over here is the neckline of this W structure. So it is still very much valid, right? Anyway, let's proceed. So there goes the neckline of that W structure, and I'm now gonna utilize the Fibonacci retracement tool. Just bear with me. Let's see. There goes the Fib tool, and yeah, so we can see that this neckline over here of this W structure is more or less in line, or rather is between the 38.2% and the 50% Fibonacci retracement levels, right? So let's proceed. So that's an indication that we might possibly see price moving up from there, right? Having said that, as much as we have this very nice W structure over here with a neckline being there, just also bear in mind that we also have another smaller W structure at this point with a neckline being at that level. So as much as we would love to see price retrace from where it is and move further up, there's a possibility that price may move to this level as well to test it and then possibly move up, right? So what I'm going to do now is also add a second neckline to that smaller W structure, because it is also very much important, and it is also a very strong level of support. So just bear with me guys as I add that neckline or that support line. Yeah, just to reiterate, just remember that necklines are areas and not an actual line, right? So there you go. So what else do we see on this chart? So previously we had also spoken about this candlestick over here, and I had said that it's carrying a whole lot of liquidity at this level, as well as this one over here rather, which is also carrying a lot of liquidity at that level, right? So we just need to keep that in the back of our minds as well, that as much as we would love to see price reject at these levels, there's a possibility that price may come back down to these levels to grab that liquidity and then only push further up, forming a very nice W structure over there, right? Anyway, let's proceed. From here, I'm just gonna head down to the daily chart. Yeah, so So let's do so. Right, so here we are on the daily chart, and the first thing that I'm going to do in regards to the daily chart is add my trend lines. Just bear with me. Let's see, equidistant channel. There we go, more or less. There we go, there we go, there we go. And the upper channel as well, or rather the upper line. There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. Right. So what else do we see on this chart that we should be paying attention to, which is the daily chart? So on the higher time frames, we've spoken about these two W structures, right? That's number one, and number two is this one over here, and we spoke about those levels where we expect price to retrace at, right? As much as we have those levels, and as much as we may be looking for possible buying opportunities, just also bear in mind that we have on the daily chart a very nice head and shoulders pattern, right? And we can see that this would be the left hand shoulder, this would be the head, and this side would be the right hand shoulder, right? And the neckline of this particular structure is at this level over here, right? And you guys know by now that when it comes to head and shoulders patterns, ideally we would love to see price close to the bottom side of that neckline, and then head back up to test that neckline and then push further down, and that means we would look for possible selling opportunities at this point. So similarly, in regards to this head and shoulders pattern, the anticipation is for price to head back to the neckline to test it, and we might possibly look for possible selling opportunities at least to around this point. And that's because this is the neckline of that smaller W structure that I spoke about, right? I hope what I've just said makes sense and it's not confusing. So let me just repeat that. So remember, we have two W structures, this one as well as this one, right? And the bigger one has a neckline there, and the smaller W structure has a neckline here, right? And we can see that this neckline at this point is somewhat not as stable as this one, in that it was broken to the downside quite a bit. However, it is still very much relevant because, as I said to you guys, necklines are areas and not actual lines. To add to that, we also have this neckline over here of this W structure, and we might possibly get a rejection at this side, or rather a bounce at this level here, and price may push further up, right? So as much as that's the case, we also have, as I said, this inverted head and shoulders pattern with a neckline at that level, right? And what may actually happen is price may push this level and then push further down, right? So we just need to be careful and make sure that we are up to speed in regards to all the possible outcomes, right? So at this point in time, we have a bit of a dilemma because we have two opposing structures, right? We have the two W structures as well as this head and shoulders pattern over here, and we can see that the neckline of this or rather the neckline of this W structure aligns with the neckline of this inverted head and shoulders pattern. So it's a bit risky in as far as buying or selling at this level, in my humble opinion. It's a bit risky because anything can happen. Price may go with a W structure or go with the head and shoulders pattern, right? However, we'll go down to the smaller time frames to see if we can't possibly get away with it, right? Anyway, let's proceed. Just keep in mind that we have a neckline over here, which is the neckline of this head and shoulders pattern, and it's in alignment with the neckline of this huge W structure over here, right? Anyway, let's proceed. So what else do we see on the chart, which is the daily chart, that we should be paying attention to? Just remember also that we have at this level over here, just bear with me, right, okay, that's fine. Just bear in mind also that we have a gap at this point, right? And I don't think it's been filled, right? It's not quite clear, but we'll see it as we head down to the smaller time frames. But there's a possibility that we might have a gap here, And as you guys know by now, gaps represent liquidity, and liquidity needs to be grabbed by the market at one point or another. We also had a gap here, but we can see that the market closed that gap, right? And as I said, there's a possibility that price may bounce off this level and then push further down, at least to here, because we have this inverted head and shoulders pattern that I spoke about, right? Anyway, from here I'm just gonna head down to the H4 chart. Right, on the H4 chart I'm just gonna fix my lines just to make sure that they are as accurate as can be. So just bear with me, guys, as I fix my lines. See, there we go, and this side as well. Let me see. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. There we go, there we go. All right, so there goes our H4 chart. So what do we see on the H4 chart that we should be paying attention to, right? In fact, before we proceed, I'm just gonna first start by adding my H4 channel as well. So just bear with me while I edit. Let's see. So there goes our H4 channel. I would edit in this way. I would edit in this manner, right? So we can see that. Let's see. So we can see that at this level over here, right, price broke the trend line to the bottom side and then went back up again to sort of retest it, and we can see that it didn't hold. Our neckline didn't hold, but we can see that also price went up to close the gap that we had at this point, because as I said, gaps represent liquidity, and what may possibly happen is price may push further down, right? Because we can see that that gap has been closed, and it seems as though the neckline of, or rather the trend line, is struggling in regards to making sure that price stays, outside of this particular area over here, right? So that's a clue as well. So what else do we see on this chart that we should be paying attention to? Let's see. I don't see much really in as far as the H4 chart is concerned. However, just bear in mind that on the bigger time frame, which is the daily chart, we had spoken about that huge head and shoulders pattern, and that it has a neckline at this level over here. So what may possibly happen is price may push, as I said, to this level and then push further down to at least this level. That's what I see at this point in time. But in as far as actual buying and selling opportunities at this point, I don't see any. However, as I said, my bias is for price to actually respect this head and shoulders pattern and then possibly push further down to around this level over here, because this is the neckline of that huge W structure that I spoke about, right? And at this level we might possibly get a reversal, right? So that is my analysis in as far as Nasdaq100 is concerned. I hope that was not too confusing at this point. However, yeah, so that's my analysis. Cheers, guys.